faithfully delivering value and interpreting great books from around the world.
Hello, this is Sally's Book Talk.
Today, we're going to cover the next part of Yuan Chonghuan's biography. In the previous episode, I talked about his early life and a major military event, his role in designing and implementing the Ningjin defense line. Back then, factional infighting in the court caused immense suffering for the Ningjin defense line's operations. During lulls in the war, Yuan Chonghuan had to negotiate with the later Jin regime to buy some breathing room. So how would the negotiations with later Jin proceed? Would Yuan Chonghuan achieve his goal in the peace talks? In the 6th year of the Tianqi era, Yuan Chonghuan won a major victory at Ningyuan. That August, Nurhaci died of illness, and Yuan Chonghuan initiated the first peace talks with later Jin by sending envoys to Shenyang to offer condolences. Nurhaci, Han Taiji met the envoys and immediately extended an olive branch. Han Taiji and Yuan Chonghuan communicated directly via letters to discuss peace matters. The content of the peace talks on the Ming side was reported to the emperor by Yuan Chonghuan. During the Tianji era, Yuan Chonghuan petitioned the court 8 times about the peace talks, securing a year of peace to strengthen the defenses in Liaoshi. How far did these talks go? According to existing records, the biggest disagreement was whether later Jin's invasion of Ming was justified. Clearly, this was a matter of principle. Han Taiji and Yuan Chonghuan would never reach a consensus. However, on matters of etiquette, Han Taiji gradually made concessions, like writing his name 1 character lower than the Ming emperor's to show he was inferior to the emperor, but above ordinary officials. And under this naming convention, Ming would give gifts of gold, silver, and silk, while later Jin offered specialties like pearls, sable fur, and ginseng. For return gifts, both sides haggled over quantities, seeming full of sincerity, but beneath the surface, both sides had their own maneuvers. On Yuan Chonghuan's part, he actively reinforced Jinzhou's defenses, building more fortresses and advancing, since the court never expected the talks to succeed. Historically, the Northern Song court negotiated with the Jin state, deluding themselves that money could buy peace. In the end, Emperors Huizong and Qinzong became prisoners, leading to the dynasty's fall and their deaths. Now, later Jin still flew the banner of Jin, so the peace talks naturally evoked this shameful history. So Yuan Chonghuan was defying public opinion to buy time for defense preparations. So Han Taiji was also consolidating his position at that time. Although Han Taiji inherited the position of Great Khan from Nurhaci, at that time, the later Jin regime was jointly managed by the 4 great biles, including Han Taiji. These 4 great biles were relatives of Nurhaci and were all banner lords, each commanding significant military forces. Therefore, Han Taiji's position wasn't stable, and he used his tactics to undermine his political rivals. By the summer of the 7th year of Tianqi, Han Taiji felt his rear was secure, so he proactively halted the peace talks and sent troops to Liaoshi.
At this time, Yuan Chonghuan's Ningjin defense line was already in place, repelling Han Taiji's forces. This became known as the historic Battle of Ningjin.
In the first year of Chongzhen, Yuan Chonghuan was again in charge of the Ningjin defense line. Forced by circumstances, he initiated the second round of peace talks with the later Jin regime. However, this time, Yuan Chonghuan was more reactive, not like the first time where, although it was just a show, the negotiations went too deep and gave others leverage. On the other hand, Han Taiji's side appeared more proactive in the peace talks. This was because the late Ming period saw a cooling climate, uneven rainfall, and droughts, leading to widespread crop failures. This problem not only troubled the Ming Dynasty, but also affected regions controlled by later Jin. Adding to that, years of warfare between the two nations disrupted trade, causing a great famine in Liaodong. Hong Taji couldn't defeat Yuan Chonghuan and couldn't seize supplies, so he hoped to restart trade in Liaodong through peace talks to stabilize his rule. This intention of the later Jin ruling group can be seen from an existing memorial. The memorial mentioned that the Ming had been at war for a long time, their finances were exhausted, but they excelled at defending cities. Our country couldn't advance deep into enemy territory in every campaign, so the time to destroy the Ming hasn't come yet. The best approach now is to make peace with the Ming, cultivate land, cease warfare, nourish the people, nurture talents, accumulate wealth, and improve governance. As for the Ming, their official system changes frequently, like a revolving door, shifting year after year, bound to cause problems eventually. Our country just needs to focus on the fundamentals first. When the time comes, we can rise and pacify the realm. To seek peace, on the second day of the first month of the first year of Chongjin, Hong Taiyi sent a letter to Ming Yuan, congratulating Chongjin on his accession to the throne, and not long after becoming emperor, Yuan Chonghuan was reinstated. Han Taji again wrote to Yuan Chonghuan, hoping to restart peace talks through him, but Yuan Chonghuan was cold towards the talks. He replied, Hong Taiji said that matters like peace talks couldn't be decided by his own word alone. By the second year of Chongjin, that is, 1629 AD, Hong Taiji sent 8 letters for peace talks, 6 of which were addressed to Yuan Chonghuan. The letter even proposed demarcating borders, establishing buffer zones, and hoping to receive a gold seal of investiture from the Ming, among other things. But Yuan Chonghuan still brushed it off with a few words. Hong Taji finally realized he couldn't get the results he wanted from Yuan Chonghuan. Instead, Yuan Chonghuan gained the upper hand. Yuan Chonghuan achieved his strategic goal by fortifying the cities of Jinzhou and Ningjian. Thus, at the end of that year, Hong Taiji turned to war to resolve later Jin's predicament. All right, we've covered the second major event of Yuan Chonghuan's 8-year military career, negotiating peace with the later Jin regime. After the Ningjin victory, Yuan Chonghuan summarized several aspects of his military strategy, one of which was called Quanwei Pengzhao, meaning peace talks. Quanwei Pengzhao means that peace talks are a flexible method to deal with the enemy, and the real purpose is to use diplomacy to buy time for military preparation. So even Yuan Chonghuan himself might not have expected that his 2 peace talks with later Jin achieved his goals, but also sparked the emperor's boundless imagination, becoming a major accusation against him later. However, Emperor Chongjin's dissatisfaction with the peace talks was only a peripheral factor. What comes next truly provoked the emperor, making Chongjin want to kill Yuan Chonghuan. This is the third major event during Yuan Chonghuan's governance of Liaodong, executing the great general Mao Wenlong. Who was Mao Wenlong? Based on various historical records, Mao Wenlong was from Hangzhou, Zhejiang. He lost his father young, disliked studying, didn't engage in business, and idled around all day. Yet such a person held a significant position in the war against later Jin. When Mao Wenlong was young, through his uncle Shen Guanzhou's personal connections, he secured a military position in Liaodong, thus getting involved early in the Liaodong War. In the 7th month of the first year of Tianqi, when Yuan Chonghuan was still the magistrate of Shaowu in Fujian, Mao Wenlong led troops to attack later Jin. He gained fame from this at Zhenjiang City by the Yalu River. At the end of the 2nd year of Tianji, Sun Chengzong and Yuan Chonghuan established the Guan-Ningjin defense line in Liaoxi. To the east of later Jin, the Ming Dynasty borrowed land from Korea and established Dongjiang garrison. At that time, Korea allocated land near the West Korean Bay bordering Liaodong, including places like Tiehan and Pi Island, where the Ming stationed nearly 20,000 soldiers. Mao Wenlong then became the Dongjiang regional commander. After the establishment of Dongjang garrison, he was stationed on Pi Island, controlling many islands east of Lushengkou, becoming an important isolated force for the Ming Dynasty. The court relied on Dongjang garrison, hoping Mao Wenlong would attack later Jin from the east to relieve Yuan Chonghuan's defensive pressure. But Mao Wenlong, arrogant from imperial favor, acted recklessly and became a thorny problem for the court. And first, now exaggerated military achievements, disobeyed orders, and provided little help to Yuan Chonghuan's western defense line. During Tianqi era, Mao repeatedly attacked later Jin bases in Liaodong but failed every time, yet boastfully claimed victories. When Yuan Chonghuan commanded battles at Ningyuan and Ningjin under extreme hardship, the court ordered Mao to send troops immediately, but he disobeyed and offered no aid.
Second, Mao embezzled military provisions, directly undermining Yuan Chonghuan's strategic implementation.
After establishing Dongjang garrison, Mao took in refugees on Pi Island, claiming to command 170,000 troops. By late Tianji era, he demanded 1 million taels of silver from the court, mostly used to bribe officials and line his own pockets. In the first year of Changzhen, with court finances strained, the emperor ordered nationwide troop reductions and pay cuts. Ministry officials investigated Pi Island and verified Mao actually had only 28,000 soldiers, despite massive military funds. Now, with such blatant corruption exposed, and since Chongzheng's accession, Yuan Chonghuan prioritized consolidating military authority. To clear obstacles for his 5-year Liaodong recovery strategy, he naturally targeted Mao Wenlong. Yuan first sought to institutionally restrain Mao and force his obedience. His first move, sending civil officials to Pi Island to oversee Mao, a standard main practice of civil control over military. Unexpectedly, Mao flatly refused this proposal. Next, Yuan intercepted supplies. Provisions for Pi Island had to go through Ningyuan first for verification before transfer. Mao threatened mutiny among Pi Island troops and again rejected Yuan's arrangement. After repeated attempts, it became clear Mao would never submit to Yuan's authority. Then something worse happened. Officials sent to inspect troops on Pi Island accidentally captured secret envoys from later Jin. After all these years and massive provisions sent to Dongjang garrison, this was the result they got. Chongzhen finally snapped. Since you've embezzled funds for years, you must have enough supplies. The court will cut all funding to Dongjang garrison. Pushed to the brink, Mao Wenlong simply sailed his entire fleet to attack coastal areas like Denzhou and Liaozhou in Shandong, escalating the conflict to this point. Or no, this more comfort. Mao Wenlong was showing signs of rebellion, and Yuan Chonghuan had to step in to stop him.
In late May of Chongzhen's second year, Yuan Chonghuan sailed to eastern Liaodong. At Shuang Island off Lushengkou, he met Mao Wenlong, who came to greet him, and had a heart-to-heart talk, hoping to persuade Mao to change his ways and obey orders.
But Mao Wenlong remained stubborn and refused to comply. By the 5th day of the 6th month, Yuan Chonghuan decided to personally kill Mao Wenlong. That day, before inviting Mao Wenlong to review troops on the island, he first pacified Mao's subordinates, saying, "Dongjang has less grain, but more people than Ningyuan." He then ordered distribution of the provisions he'd brought, telling the soldiers, "I know it's hard for you all." Afterwards, Yuan had his soldiers separate Mao Wenlong from the crowd, then suddenly struck, ordering men to pin Mao down, strip his official robe, and announce his 12 crimes. Mao Wenlong immediately lost his arrogance, just kowtowing and begging for mercy, but it was too late. Yuan Chonghuan kowtowed toward the capital, then brought out the imperial sword and executed Mao Wenlong on the spot. Mao's subordinates, stunned by this scene, stood frozen, not daring to act. Yuan announced to them, "Only the arrogant Mao Wenlong is executed today. The rest won't be punished." Thus the matter was settled. Yuan Chonghuan reported to Emperor Chengzhen, detailing the entire process of capturing and executing Mao Wenlong. In his memorial, he included this statement: "Should there be any more incorrigible individuals like Mao Wenlong in my jurisdiction, I will execute first and report later." Liang Chao of the late Qing period wrote a biography of Yuan Chonghuan, applauding this execution, believing Yuan resolutely eliminated someone the entire nation thought couldn't and shouldn't be killed, demonstrating extraordinary wisdom and courage. Originally, before the Shuang Island meeting, Yuan Chonghuan still held illusions about Mao Wenlong. He'd previously memorialized the court, hoping it wouldn't pursue now regarding provisions. Even when boarding the ship in late May, he hadn't revealed his intent to kill Mao to the emperor. But less than a month later, when Emperor Chongzhen received Yuan's memorial, Mao was already beheaded. Such thunderous tactics greatly shocked the emperor. Historical records describe Emperor Chongzhen's reaction. He deeply frowned and felt his hair stand on end. In simple terms, straight to the point, it's like a chill down the spine. With hair standing on end and shock, there's also a bit of lingering fear. During the mid to late Ming Dynasty, positions like general, provincial governor, and governor general were set up locally, and eunuchs were dispatched to oversee them. Was it, aiming to create a multi-headed political system in the regions to prevent separatist regimes. If Yuan Chonghuan to unify authority really continued like this, even if the lost territories beyond the frontier were recovered, could they still bear the surname Zhu? Or would they? However, Emperor Chongzhen once quietly drove Wei Zhongxian into a corner, and this time he quickly suppressed his reaction deep down. His reply to Yuan Chonghuan was simple. Grand Tutor Yuan did well. Mao Wenlong's rebellious actions were already exposed. The authority to act expediently was given to you by me. What you did this time is fine. In the future, go ahead and do it boldly. The account of Yuan Chonghuan executing Mao Wenlong is concluded here. Yuan Chonghuan executing Mao Wenlong had two consequences. First, it left Chongzhen with a heartache, feeling that Yuan was usurping power and Chongzhen's ability might not be that brilliant. But when it came to dealing with ministers who usurped power, he was always sure-footed. Later, when Yuan Chonghuan was convicted by the emperor, one important charge was executing Mao Wenlong. Second, after executing Mao Wenlong, Yuan Chonghuan faced no major challenges in authority over Liaodong, and he could finally focus on deploying strategies according to his plans. But just as Yuan Chonghuan's power reached its peak, an unexpected disaster occurred. This is the fourth major event in Yuan Chonghuan's military career, and also the end of his life. Dealing with the GC incident. First, let's talk about what the GC incident was. In June of Chongzhen's second year, Hong Taiji learned of Mao Wenlong's death and realized that peace talks with Yuan Chonghuan were hopeless. Later Jin regime faced greater threats. At the end of October that year, to solve the crisis of domestic food shortages and unstable morale, Hong Taiji decided to take a risk, leading his army around the defenses commanded by Yuan Chonghuan,
breaking through the Great Wall in today's Zunhao and Qianxi areas of Hebei, directly threatening Beijing.
Before this, the defenses near Beijing hadn't been breached for half a century. When the later Jin army suddenly appeared, the shock to the capital was immense. Chongzhen even lost composure, imprisoning officials from the Ministry of War and Ministry of Justice, and drastically reshuffling the cabinet. Since Chongzhen's second year was called GC in the Chinese calendar, the Ming people called this war the GC incident. You might wonder, the later Jin army was always active near the Liao River. How did they find a way around Shanhaiguan to launch this attack? Well, we can't help but mention a force that both the Ming and later Jin were vying for. That's the Mongols. At that time, the Mongols had a great Khan named Liaodong Khan, who controlled an area roughly equivalent to today's Inner Mongolia Autonomous Region. To the east, the Mongol forces bordered later Jin, located in what is now Liaodong province. To the south, the Mongol forces faced off against the Ming along the Great Wall boundary, and they were soon drawn into the conflict between later Jin and Ming. For the Ming, if the Mongols sided with later Jin, the court would face two formidable enemies. To win over the Mongols, the Ming gave Liaodong Khan a total of 1 million taels of silver. But the Ming and Mongols had long been hostile and distrusted each other. Liaodong Khan, though leaning towards the Ming side, saw little effect from this bought alliance. For the Jurchens, the Mongol conquest of the Jin dynasty was an indelible shadow in their memory. Towards the various Mongol tribes, later Jin adopted a strategy of division, either win them over through marriage alliances, or if that failed, conquer them by force. In the 5th year of Tianqi, Hong Taji married Bumbutai of the Mongol Korchin tribe as his consort. She later became the mother of Emperor Shunji and raised Emperor Kangqi as Empress Dowager Shaojuang. In the 6th year of Tianqi, Hong Taiji succeeded to the Khanate. He decided to first conquer the Mongols by force before moving south to conquer Ming. This was in the 1st year of Chongzhen, that is, 1628. Hong Taiji's envoy sent to persuade the Chahar tribe to surrender was killed, so he used this as a pretext to send troops, leading to direct conflict between Chahar and Liaodong Khan. After 2 major battles, Liaodong Khan's army was defeated, forcing him to flee westward with his forces. More and more tribes that had been loyal to Liaodong Khan surrendered to Hong Taiji, and the alliance between Ming and Mongols essentially collapsed. In June of that year, a Mongol tribe called the Karchin surrendered to Hong Taiji. Why mention this Karchin tribe specifically? Because this tribe's location was extremely strategic. Situated in what is now Chengde, Hebei, from here, heading south across the Great Wall, leads directly to the heartland of the Ming capital.
To defend the capital, the Ming established a key military stronghold here.
The Jizhu garrison stretched from Changping all the way east to the rear of Shanhaiguan.
With defenses set up along the Great Wall, the surrender of the Harchin tribe exposed the Jizhou garrison north of Beijing directly to later Jin's attack range.
However, the Ming's intelligence was far behind, and they were largely unaware of this situation.
By Changzhen's 2nd year, the Karchin tribe had long defected to later Jin, yet Yuan Chonghuan and his memorials still thought they weren't allies of later Jin. A massive crisis was imminent.
In September of the 2nd year of Chengzhen, Hong Taiji left Amen, one of the 4 great biles, to guard Shenyang, while leading 2 other biles to detour through Mongolia, joining Mongol forces to prepare for an attack. This time, guided by Karchin tribesmen, they traversed mountains and appeared right outside the gates of Jizhu garrison. Yuan Chonghuan did detect signs of this military movement by Hong Taiji. On the 9th day of the 9th month that year, Ming intelligence in Liaoxi reported that later Jin troops had crossed the Liao River in force. But this time, they didn't attack the Guanming Jin defense line, instead marching westward. Where were they heading? This triggered Yuan Chonghuan's concern. Perhaps intuitively, he believed the later Jin army might detour to attack Jizhou garrison, so he petitioned the court to strengthen its defenses. What is it? Additionally, as the governor-general of Jiliao, he had a duty to assist in defending the capital. Yuan also requested court permission to dispatch a relief force inside the pass.
All right.
Yuan's deep concern stemmed from recent troop reductions at Jizhou garrison. Dismissed soldiers were resentful, while remaining veterans lacked combat effectiveness. With morale unstable, Jizhou garrison stood little chance against a major assault. The court dismissed Yuan as alarmist, but by late October, the later Jin army suddenly attacked and breached Dun Pass and Longjing Pass. As predicted, disastrous. Jizhou garrison soldiers rebelled, opening gates and surrendering at multiple locations. The capital was thus exposed to Hong Taiji's advance. Upon receiving news, Yuan swiftly deployed troops.
Ming troops couldn't match later Jin's mobility, yet Yuan had to intercept the enemy before Hong Taiji arrived, quickly exhausting his forces.
Rushing from beyond the pass to Jizu, he immediately organized city defenses, preparing to battle Hong Taiji there.
But unexpectedly, Hong Taiji fainted and bypassed Jizzhou City entirely, heading straight for Beijing.
Learning of this, Yuan immediately led 9,000 exhausted cavalry toward the capital. After 10 days of fierce fighting outside Zuanmen and Guankumen, he finally repelled the later Jin assault, temporarily lifting the siege. Yuan Chonghuan felt he'd acted as the capital's firefighter this time. Surely meritorious, not blameworthy. But people near the capital disagreed. Ming's outskirts were filled with estates and farmlands of nobles, and commoners had enjoyed over 50 years of peace. The later Jin army's looting spree in Beijing caused enormous losses for everyone.
Yuan Chonghuan defending against later Jin all the way to Beijing's walls. Who could be satisfied with that?
Rumors quickly spread through the capital claiming Yuan Chonghuan failed to intercept Hong Taiji. The rumor claimed Hong Taiji had a hidden scheme, deliberately luring the later Jin army to Beijing's gates to recreate the late Northern Song scenario, forcing the court into a humiliating treaty under duress, and this rumor quickly took effect.
Ming soldiers atop Beijing's walls cursed the Guaning relief troops below as spies, hurling bricks that killed 3 Guaning soldiers.
At night, city gates arrested patrolling Guaning soldiers, some killed, others released after extortion. Yuan's troops endured this injustice without retaliation, sinking into deep despair.
With rumors flooding Beijing, they inevitably reached the panicked Chongzhen.
Chongzhen, sensitive and arrogant, was instantly triggered by the treaty under siege narrative, unleashing his long-suppressed suspicions toward Yuan. During the campaign, he first issued a strict order forbidding Yuan from approaching the capital.
Later, while Yuan fought outside Beijing, he denied his exhausted troops entry to rest, even after the siege temporarily lifted.
Then, on the first day of the 12th month, Chongzhen summoned Yuan and his deputies under the pretext of discussing military provisions to Deshou and Mongui, commander of reinforcements from Datong. With city gates sealed shut, they were hauled up in baskets via ropes lowered from the walls. The generals arrived at Yuntai Gate outside Baohei Palace.
Furious, Chongzhen immediately confronted Yuan. Why did you execute Mao Wenlong?
Why did you lure the enemy to Beijing? Hearing this, Yuan likely froze, then realized his fate was sealed. Chongzhen pressed further. Why did your troops shoot arrows during the battle?
At Mangui.
Yuan and Mangui had once fought side by side in Liaoxi, achieving victory at Ningyuan. After the Ningjin victory, conflicts arose between them, and Mangui was transferred to Datong as regional commander. During the battle outside Beijing, Mangui's troops moved closer to Yuan's Guaning forces. Amid intense combat, Guaning archers accidentally wounded Mangui, but Chongzhen suspected Yuan ordered it deliberately to eliminate a rival. Mangui opened his clothes for Yuan Chonghuan to see. The situation was crystal clear. Anything Yuan said was pointless. After the emperor ordered the imperial guards to strip Yuan of his court robes and imprison him, many high officials pleaded his innocence. Among them was Sun Chengzong, who'd served with him beyond the pass. Sun had long seen through the factional tricks at court. When Yuan Chonghuan was arrested, Sun wrote a poem with these lines: "Many ways to love a child, yet love fails, vainly hearing joy renewed from past lives." The referenced an incident from the Jiajin era. General Zheng Xian, framed by the treacherous Yan Song due to political struggles. Sun Chengzong's poem likened Yuan Chonghuan to Zheng Xian. Second, it aimed to warn Emperor Chongzhen that Yuan's accusers might have ulterior motives, hoping the emperor would awaken and not be blinded by traitors. The second rescuer was Grand Secretary Cheng Jiming. When Yuan was arrested, Deputy General Zhu Dashou witnessed it. Fearing implication, His legs trembled violently.
Seeing the danger, Grand Secretary Cheng Ming nearby kowtowed, imploring the emperor to act cautiously.
70-year-old Chang knelt outside Huiji Gate for 12 hours, trying to sway Changzhen's mind. The third rescuer was Yuan's deputy. Su Dashou saw Yuan imprisoned with his own eyes. Returning to camp furious, he resolved to lead 15,000 troops away from battle, leaving the capital. The court made Yuan send a letter from prison to pacify Zhu, ordering him to obey commands and keep fighting. When Yuan's letter arrived, Zhu dismounted, holding it, weeping uncontrollably. He petitioned the emperor, defending Yuan's achievements, while ordering his army back inside the pass to earn merit and redeem Yuan. By early Chongzhen's third year, Zhu recaptured all lost territory inside the Great Wall. Chongzhen praised Zhu but remained determined to kill Yuan. On August 16th of Chongzhen's third year, Chongzhen declared before officials outside Baohe Palace, Yuan Chonghuan betrayed his trust. During his tenure, he deceived the emperor, conspired with enemies, made unauthorized peace talks, executed generals, and failed to grasp threats, nearly letting later Jin breach the capital. Thus, Yuan was sentenced to death by Ling Qi, property confiscated, and family exiled 2,000 li. After Yuan's conviction, Korean envoys in Beijing criticized Chongzhen as obstinate, swayed by villains into misjudgment. The later compiled Ming history commented that after Yuan Chonghuan's death, the Ming could never find another general like him to handle frontier affairs. The fall of the Ming Dynasty was already inevitable. In short, the Jizi incident terrified Emperor Chongzhen, fueling his resentment and becoming the catalyst for Yuan Chonghuan's downfall. Legend has it that Yuan Chonghuan composed a poem before his execution. All my life's work comes to naught. Half a lifetime's fame is but a dream. After death, I won't worry about lacking brave generals. My loyal soul will still guard Liaodong. So how exactly could later Jin be subdued? During his lifetime, Yuan Chonghuan had a complete strategic concept called one body, two wings. The single body referred to the Guan-Ningjin defense line he commanded. The two wings meant the Mongol tribes as the left wing and Korea as the right wing. These three forces would jointly strangle the later Jin regime, though Yuan never anticipated what followed. After his death, the Eight Banners army swept through like a force of nature, ultimately crushing all elements of this strategy. In the 5th year of Chongzhen, Heng Taiji campaigned westward, completely crushing Ligdan Khan's forces. Ligdan Khan fled to Qinghai, contracted smallpox 2 years later, and died, marking the end of the Mongol Empire. In the 9th year of Chongzhen, Heng Taiji changed his state's name to Qing and fully conquered Korea. From then on, Korea became a tributary state of the Qing dynasty. And what about the Ming? The Jizi incident at the end of Chongzhen's 2nd year drastically altered the Ming's political landscape. Through this campaign, Heng Taiji gauged the Ming's weaknesses. From Chongzhen's 8th to 15th year, the Eight Banners army invaded 5 times via Mongolia, plundering North China, utterly destroying its economy and defenses. In Chongzhen's 15th year, the Ming had no choice but to launch the Songjin decisive battle outside Shanhaiguan. The result: total annihilation of Ming forces, collapsing defenses beyond the pass. 2 years later, Emperor Chongzhen hanged himself on Coal Hill, marking the end of the Ming Dynasty. Well, that concludes our biography of Yuan Chonghuan. Thank you for listening, and we'll see you tomorrow.